What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. And today we are going over the evolution of Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest careers in WWE history. Let's get right into it with his WWF debut as well as his return to AWA, and that was from 1987 through 1988. In 1987, the Rockers were signed by a competing promotion, the World Wrestling Federation. The Rockers was a team of Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty. They were fired from WWF 2 weeks later for a bar incident, so they returned to AEW where they won the tag team titles, but that didn't last too long because they were re-signed by WWF a year later. The next chapter are the Rockers in 1988 through 1991. The Rockers re-debuted at a WWF live event. The team were popular with both children and women and was on the mid-card division for the next 2 years. During this time, Michaels headlined his first pay-per-view for the WWF when the Rockers were involved in the 4-on-4 Survivor Series match main event of the 1989 Survivor Series. The Rockers continued their partnership, eventually splitting up December 2nd, 1991 during an incident on the Barbershop Talk Show segment where Michaels superkicked Jannetty and threw him through a glass window on the set of Beefcake's talk show. Jannetty returned to the WWF the following year and enjoyed a moderate successful career before leaving the company in 1994, while Michaels on the other hand became a prominent villain of the early to mid 1990s as the Boy Toy. Next up, we have the two dudes with attitudes, and that was from 1992 through 1995. Michaels adopted the nickname the Heartbreak Kid. Along with his new name came a new gimmick as a vain, cocky villain. He was put together with a mirror-carrying manager, Sensational Sherry. Sherry even sang the first version of his new theme music, Sexy Boy. Michaels became a contender to the promotion's singles titles and failed to win the WWF World Heavyweight Championship from Randy Savage in his first opportunity to compete for that title. Michaels was also unable to win the IC Championship from Bret Hart. However, he did win the title from the British Bulldog on Saturday night's main event. During this time, Michaels and Sherry split up and he engaged himself in a feud with the former tag team partner, Marty Jannetty. Michaels lost the IC Championship to Jannetty, but regained it with the help of his new bodyguard, Diesel. In 1994, Michaels entered a rivalry with Razor Ramon, who won the Intercontinental Championship, which had been vacated during Michaels' suspension. Since Michaels had never been defeated in the ring for that title, he claimed to be the rightful champion and even carried around his old title. This feud culminated in a ladder match between the two at WrestleMania 10. Michaels lost the match, which featured both him and Razor's championship belts suspended above the ladder in the ring. This match was voted by fans as Match of the Year by PWI. It also received a 5-star rating from Dave Meltzer. Michaels and Diesel captured the tag team championships from the Head Shrinkers. The next day at SummerSlam, Diesel lost the IC Championship to Ramon and when Michaels accidentally superkicked Diesel. This triggered a split between Michaels and Diesel and a storyline that was drawn out until Survivor Series. Michaels went on to win the Royal Rumble in 1995, which set up a championship grudge match at WrestleMania 11 against Diesel. As part of the storyline, Michaels recruited Psycho Sid as his bodyguard for the build-up, lost the match, and was attacked by Sid the following night. After this, Michael took time off because Vince wanted Michaels to come back as a fan favorite, so he needed to be away from the audience. The next chapter is the formation of the Clique from 1995 through 1996. Michaels returned to the ring as a fan favorite in May 1995, and he went on to defeat Jeff Jarrett to win his third IC Championship. Around this time, Michaels became the leader of a backstage group known as the Clique, which consisted of him, Triple H, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall. There was a perception that they were kissing Vince McMahon's ass, and that's why they were becoming dominant wrestling figures for the WWF for several years in the mid-1990s, causing a lot of friction with other wrestlers. After that, we have WWF Champion from 1996 through 1998. After teasing a retirement, Michaels returned to the WWF at Royal Rumble, and he would actually end up winning the match for a second year in a row to main event WrestleMania 12. At WrestleMania, he defeated WWF Champion Bret Hart in the overtime for their 16-minute Iron Man match, which ended up in a scoreless tie. Shortly after this, Michaels and his fellow Clique members were involved in the incident known as the Curtain Call. They broke kayfabe as acting out of character, which was rare and controversial at the time. As WCW gained momentum due to the signings of Hall and Nash, Michaels held the championship for most of that year, but vacated it due to an injury. After knee surgery, Michaels returned a few months later, briefly teaming up with Stone Cold Steve Austin to win the WWF Tag Team Championships. In his autobiography, Michaels reveals about his real-life feud with Bret Hart, claiming that Hart did interviews on live television claiming that he was faking the entire injury. By spring of 1997, the real-life backstage conflict between Michaels and Hart was reaching its heights. Both men were going on TV and frequently making personal true-to-heart remarks about one another. Michaels briefly left the company in June of that year after a real backstage fight with Bret Hart just hours before a Raw show. Michaels eventually returned that summer in July. At SummerSlam, Michaels officiated the WWF World Heavyweight Championship match between The Undertaker and Bret Hart. The match ended in controversial fashion, with Shawn Michaels accidentally hitting Undertaker with a chair. He was then forced to award the championship to his nemesis, Bret Hart. At In Your House Bad Blood, Michaels defeated Undertaker in the first Hell in a Cell match. The match received a 5-star rating from Dave Meltzer. In the fall, Michaels joined forces with real-life friend Hunter Hearst Helmsley to form D-Generation X. Shawn Michaels continued his feud with Bret Hart and the Hart Foundation. The feud with the Hart Foundation culminated in a championship match at Survivor Series in November 1997 against Bret Hart. Michaels came out of this match and everyone was calling it the Montreal Screwjob because Vince McMahon screwed over Bret Hart. Now we have his first retirement from 1998 through 2002. At the 1998 Royal Rumble, in a casket match against The Undertaker, Michaels took a back body drop to the outside of the ring and he hit his lower back on the casket, causing him to herniate 2 discs and crush one completely. Michaels went on to win the match, but the injury rendered him unable to compete for the following months. This even forced him into retirement a night after losing the WWF World Heavyweight Championship to Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 14. He did make some appearances here and there as a commissioner on Raw, but didn't wrestle on TV for 4 full years. But shortly after that, he would return and feud with Triple H from 2002 through 2004. Michaels returned to TV to join the NWO on Raw, where he was the only NWO member to have never worked in WCW. After they broke up, DX reunited only for Triple H to turn on him and pedigree him. Triple H then attacked him from behind in a parking lot and put his head through a car window. In response, Michaels challenged Triple H to a non-sanctioned match at SummerSlam, laying the foundation for a rivalry that lasted for several years. In his first WWE match back since WrestleMania 14, Michaels would win at SummerSlam, but was attacked by Triple H with a sledgehammer after that match. At Survivor Series, Michaels would win the World Heavyweight Championship from Triple H in the first Elimination Chamber match. Shawn's reign as champion came to an end a month later when he lost the championship to Triple H in a 3 Stages of Hell match at Armageddon. Michaels then began a rivalry with Chris Jericho and defeated him at WrestleMania 19. As part of the ongoing feud with Triple H, the two competed alongside Chris Benoit in the main event of WrestleMania 20 for the World Heavyweight Championship. The former members of DX both came up short in the match, however, as Benoit won the championship. Now we have the real D-Generation X reunion from 2005 through 2007. Michaels issued a challenge to Kurt Angle for a match at WrestleMania 21, where Angle would defeat him by submission again with an ankle lock. Then, when teaming with Hulk Hogan, Michaels hit Hogan with a super kick and became a villain for the first time since returning in 2002. He challenged Hogan to a match at SummerSlam, and Hogan would defeat Michaels. After the match, they would shake hands. Shawn Michaels then entered a feud with Vince McMahon and Shane McMahon. He even teamed up with God to take them on in a 2-on-2 match. However, he came up short due to the help from the Spirit Squad in the no disqualification match. This is when Triple H started to help his former friend, and then DX was inserted into a feud with Vince McMahon and Shane. After getting over the McMahons, they started a small feud with Rated RKO, and they eventually were victorious and moved on. Now we have the championship pursuits from 2007 through 2009. Michaels captured the World Tag Team Championship with WWE Champion John Cena after defeating Rated RKO. At WrestleMania 23, he had a match with his partner John Cena for the WWE title, and Cena would win that match. Michaels then entered a feud with Randy Orton when Orton claimed that he could beat Michaels. Orton assaulted Michaels just before their match, leading to HBK collapsing, causing Orton to win by referee stoppage. During the feud, Michaels conjured a storyline concussion. This injury was used to keep him out of action as he required surgery for his knee. Michaels made his return to superkick the new champion Randy Orton. Michaels was unable to win the title and their feud ended. At WrestleMania 24, he did defeat Ric Flair in a retirement match, causing Ric Flair to leave the WWE and never wrestle again. Michaels then started an entire feud with Chris Jericho for the World Championship, which was very entertaining, but he also was unable to win that championship as well. In December 2008, Shawn Michaels lost his family savings due to the global recession, and then he accepted a one-year general employment contract from JBL. After failing to help JBL win the World Heavyweight Championship match, Michaels agreed to face JBL in an all-or-nothing match at No Way Out, and Michaels would win that match, letting him out of his contract early while still receiving the full payment. Finally, since Michaels became the first person to defeat Vladimir Kozlov of all people, he earned a match with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25 for the streak on the line, and The Undertaker defeated Michaels in a highly acclaimed match to extend his WrestleMania winning streak to 17-0. After WrestleMania, Shawn Michaels took a break from WWE. Now we have his last run ever from 2009 through 2010. Shawn Michaels would return to WWE programming to reform DX and feud with Legacy. They even defeated Chris Jericho and The Big Show to win the unified WWE Tag Team Championship belts. On an episode of Raw, Shawn and Bret Hart buried the hatchet as they shook hands and hugged it out. At the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view, Shawn Michaels cost The Undertaker the World Heavyweight Championship match in the main event, setting up a rematch with the Deadman at WrestleMania 26, but this time Michaels put his career on the line and he would lose to The Undertaker. The following night, Michaels gave an emotional farewell speech, departing with the familiar sentence, "Shawn Michaels has left the building." In an interview with Bill Simmons of ESPN.com shortly after his retirement, he stated that his decision to retire came a month before WrestleMania 25 when a backstage employee asked about his son Cameron, and in response to Shawn telling the employee that he just turned 9, the employee said that he was halfway gone, meaning that he was halfway to his 18th birthday and after that he'd be gone. The statement affected Shawn Michaels so deeply that he did not want to be absent when his son left home, so he decided that that year would be his last year as an active wrestler. And now the last chapter of his career is him as a Hall of Famer from 2010 through present time. After his retirement, he became a 2-time Hall of Famer and made several appearances on Raw and pay-per-views. He was even involved in a feud with Brock Lesnar for Triple H's sake, and also the referee of The Undertaker vs Triple H at WrestleMania 28. Since then, Michaels has just shown up to switch in music some people here and there, and that's pretty much it. He did make his return to the ring when teaming with Triple H to take on The Undertaker and Kane at Crown Jewel in Saudi Arabia, but it was clearly a terrible match and they got paid a lot of dollars. It kind of ruined his perfect retirement, but we just try to repress that memory. And that is the evolution of Shawn Michaels. And that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Pllana, and I'll see you all on the next video.
And I got this soul.